So, which dominant team has the best qualifying advantage? Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff and welcome back to another random F1 episode, and today we are going to be analysing the qualifying performances of 4 dominant Formula 1 teams. And just before I get into this video, if you guys have any ideas of any videos that you would like me to turn into a video, please let me know in the comments below. It can be along the lines of a statistics video like this, it can be an opinion on an event, it can be an opinion on an idea that is upcoming, it can be literally anything. So how exactly is this video going to run? Well, today we are going to be looking at 4 teams, as I mentioned at the top of the episode. Team number 1, Mercedes, from 2014 up to the present in 2020. We are also going to be looking at Ferrari from the year 2000 to 2004, and also Red Bull from 2010 to 2013, and finally McLaren from 1988 to 1991. And what is about to come up now is a series of graphs according to each team based on their qualifying advantage over the next non-Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari or McLaren car. There will then be a nice little average and a percentage of the poles that they achieved of that year alongside it, and then at the very end all 4 will be compared to each other. So there's no need to remember any data, as it will all be pooled together at the very end. So without further ado, we will begin with Mercedes, and 2014 is where we start. The white line represents their average advantage, their average qualifying advantage against the next non-Mercedes car, and that stands at 0.656 seconds. And that is a pretty hefty margin, and for their largest pole gap was 2.2 seconds in round number 12. They achieved 95% of the pole positions, only missing out 1 in this year. And then 2015 was much the same, a ever so slightly higher pole margin, 0.680 seconds, and again 95% of the pole positions, with 2016, the longest season on F1's history, again 0.621 second advantage. They've hovered nicely at the 6/10th advantage over the next non-Mercedes car. And once again, they have achieved a 95% pole position rate. For 3 seasons, they have only missed 3 pole positions. However, it was 2017 where this has slightly come down. Their advantage is now just 0.382, almost half what it was over the new regulation change, as well as their pole position rate over that season came down to 75%. It dropped a 5th from 2016 to 2017. However, 2018, it picked up a little bit. It definitely did. 0.420 second advantage now, slightly faster on all of their pole positions. However, a little bit less pole positions, just 62%. And then the final graph to look at today is 2019. Another 4/10th advantage, 0.409 seconds, but even less pole positions, only 52% over the whole year. And now this final graph that will pop up, this compares each of the average seasons of Mercedes. 2020 is also popped on there as well, at 0.782 seconds to the next non-Mercedes car. I only didn't include it as one of the big sort of seasonal graphs, as it hasn't quite concluded just yet. But you can see up until 2017, when the rules changed and the regulations changed to the fatter, wider cars, they had a comfortable 6/10th advantage, and then that was almost halved to 4/10ths. But with Mercedes out of the way, we will move and look at Ferrari now, from the year 2000 up until 2004. And their first advantage in their first year of dominance was only 0.172 seconds, and they achieved 41% of the pole positions. Hang on a minute, that's not right. That should be 58%. 58% of the pole positions. And that average advantage is less than half that of Mercedes' lowest advantage that they achieved in their period of dominance. However, 2001, this picks up just a little bit, 0.362 tenths to the next non-Ferrari car in qualifying, and a 64% pole position rating for 2001. And 2002 is again even better still, 0.446 seconds advantage to the next non-Ferrari car with a 58% pole position rating. So far Ferrari haven't had anywhere near as many pole positions in each respective season compared to Mercedes, but their advantage is still hefty. It is still a large advantage to have. And 2003 was an interesting year, only 0.298 tenths in front of the next non-Ferrari car, and they only had 3 that were above their average, and the 5 that were below, I said that very weirdly, are extremely close qualifying rounds, and they only had 47% of the pole positions in 2003. However, 2004 was another turnaround, another extremely high dominant year for Ferrari. 0.467 tenths now in front of the next non-Ferrari powered car, with 66% of the pole positions that year. So if we take a look at their overall qualifying advantage, we have 0.172, nice and low below their average advantage in the year 2000, with the others sort of mingling around, with the highest being 2004 at 0.467 seconds, which those were sort of mingling with Mercedes' 2017 to 2018 or 2019 advantage, whereas the others were a little bit lower than that. And with Ferrari out of the way, we'll take a look at Red Bull from the year 2010 to 2013. So 2010, Red Bull had an average pole position advantage of 0.426 seconds to the next non-Red Bull car, which was a pole position rating of 78% this year. Quite dominant, but still not Mercedes levels of dominance in qualifying so far. However, 2011 was definitely a step up, but a step down in the qualifying advantage, 0.366 tenths clear of the next non-Red Bull car, but a 95% pole position rating, all but one for this year. But 2012 is where it does step down, 0.253 tenths in front of the next non-Red Bull car, and a 36% pole position rating. That is the lowest pole position rating of all of the graphs that we are going to be looking at in this episode. And then 2013, it steps up again in arguably Red Bull's most dominant year in Formula 1, almost half a second advantage over the next non-Red Bull car, and a 57% pole position rating. So extremely similar to Ferrari was Red Bull, as evident by their average advantage, with the highest being just under half a second, but their lowest being 2.5 tenths. And finally, we take a look at McLaren from the years 1988 to 1991. And arguably this 1988 McLaren Formula 1 car was one of the most dominant in F1 history, and it had an average pole position advantage of 1.185 seconds over the next non-McLaren car, which was a 93% pole position advantage, all but one for the 1988 season. And 1989 it was much the same, another 1.1 second advantage over the next non-McLaren powered car, and a 93% pole position rating again, all but one. However, 1990, this average advantage was halved to 0.6 tenths, and their average pole position rating fell to just 75%. Still dominant, but nowhere near as dominant as they were. And finally, 1991, their average advantage has come down again, 0.549 tenths of a second, with an even less percentage of pole positions of just 62%. So what does that look like in terms of their average seasons graphs? We have two massively high points there, 1.185 and 1.144 seconds, down to just 0.6 and 0.549. And so, like I said at the very top of this episode, you won't have to remember any of these numbers, as I will pull all of it together. And here they are. We have Mercedes on the far left, we've got Ferrari, then Red Bull, then McLaren. So each team's respective colour bar indicates their average advantage. So Mercedes, over their 9 seasons, Jesus Christ, their 7 seasons including 2020 so far, they've had an average advantage of 0.564 tenths, and then Ferrari 0.353, Red Bull 0.382, and McLaren a whopping 0.871. And the green bars to the left of each team's bar is their maximum advantage that they ever achieved in one particular season, with the grey bar being the opposite, their lowest pole position margin in any one of their seasons of dominance. And from this we can clearly see that Red Bull and Ferrari were actually quite evenly matched in their eras of dominance, with Mercedes being comfortably above each of their statistics in any of their seasons, but McLaren is enormously higher than all of these. Their lowest advantage of just 0.549 seconds, half a second, is more than both Red Bull's and Ferrari's maximum advantage that they ever had. However, I am well aware that some people are going to say it's unfair to compare a McLaren of the 1980s to a Red Bull of the 2010s or even a Ferrari of the 2000s. And to that, I say no. No, it is not. And why do I think no, it is not? It's because I am simply comparing the teams of the 1980s to teams of the 1980s. We are looking at exactly what we have today. Mercedes' advantage over the next non-Mercedes car, and we're complaining that it is huge. Look back to the 1980s, imagine watching it back then. You'd see Senna and Prost buggering off into the distance, being 1.1 seconds in front of everybody else. And we're complaining now at Mercedes when they're 8 tenths in front of a Red Bull. What's the difference? There is no difference. So I don't see why I can't compare each of these 4 teams. And there is just one final graph to look at for today's episode, and that is all 4 best seasons put together. And you can see that McLaren have 2 dots that are leaps and bounds in front of everyone. Leaps and bounds in front of Mercedes, leaps and bounds in front of Red Bull and Ferrari. However, their 3rd best season was slower than Mercedes' 3rd best season, but the 4th best was higher than Mercedes. And each of the horizontal lines on the graph represent the team's respective average advantages over their 4 best seasons. So McLaren led Mercedes 3-1, but Mercedes have led Ferrari and Red Bull in every single one of them, with Red Bull and Ferrari being 2 apiece, which again is quite interesting to look at. But that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed that comparison of 4 different teams. I will be looking at doing some more, so maybe Williams or any of the Williams periods, maybe even further back, possibly even Renault in 05 and 06. So if you've got any other suggestions for teams that you'd like me to look at or any video improvements, then please let me know down in the comments below. But that's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next episode with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.